3 years ago, I had the chance to live in a magic place, full of history and stories, made by people that went through this land and that during thousands of years made it the Holy Land, Israel. Israel is a country that, as you will know, has a very long history. Unfortunately, nowadays it is known for very sad reasons. Wars, walls that don't exist one day and the day after are built up. Or because it is just known for religious historical reasons. For the Holy Scripts, for Christians, the place where Jesus was born, grown up, and died for us. But today, for the Israelis, it is more than that. It is the land that God promised to Abraham.
My name is Paulette Stewart. I'm Canadian.
Shalom, I'm Sarah. I am from San Francisco, California.
Gettin, sono di origine italiana, sono nata in Italia.
Allora, mi chiamo Federico, vengo da una famiglia mista, mio padre è cattolico, mia madre è ebrea.
Sono Ani Kikayon, soy nacida en Uruguay.
Bueno, me llamo Florencia, soy argentina, de Buenos Aires.
These people that you've just seen are among my closest friends. People that have told about themselves, people that decide to face something completely new for them. For example, Paulette is a Canadian girl that has decided to go to Israel because her future husband is Israeli. Actually, she is a Christian who is agnostic, and she decided to follow her beloved. And she also decided to do the Aliyah, so to convert to Judaism. She was telling me about how she is fascinated by this religion that is so far and was complete dark hole for her, but that now, because or thanks to many reasons, she feels like hers. Instead, Sarah is a girl that decided to do the Aliyah just 3 weeks ago. She's from San Francisco, from a Jewish family in which religion and traditions were very important. A question that I've asked to all that I've interviewed was, do you feel more a Jew or American? Actually, the answers I've got made me think a lot. Depends on where I am. In my country, you have to go to synagogue, you have to keep kosher, you have, but here not. The simple reason of being in Israel gives you that sense of belonging that your origin country does not give you. Simply living in the Holy Land lets you live a life where, under a religious point of view, you don't have to show anything to anyone but yourself. So according to where I am, I feel more or less a Jew. I have to say that these answers were very interesting, and to tell the truth, they surprised me. Under a linguistic profile, both girls told me that they are attending the Ulpan, that is to say, where Holim Chadashim learn Hebrew. They were explaining to me how important it was for them to learn the language of the place where are they living. Despite on the fact that everybody in Israel does speak English, learning the official language gives this feeling of belonging that makes you unique in the religion. Then I met Christina Michal. Christina is a literature teacher at the Beersheba University. She was born in Venice, and in 1987 she decided to have her first trip to Israel. Her story is very interesting. In the period time, she was graduating in philosophy and decided to write her dissertation about emigrants' integration in the kibbutz. So she began her experience in a kibbutz, where besides studying for her graduation, has worked with children that live in there. The curiosity for this country and her being Zionist took her to move to Israel. She decided to do the Aliyah. When I've asked her about the reason why she came to live in Israel, she underlined her being Zionist. But she has also specified that in order to understand the reasons why a Jew decides to go back to the origins, it is important to know the year, the period in which he or she emigrated. According to the historical period, people emigrated because of the fascism, discrimination, or just for the willing of changing, knowing that emigrating to Israel, they would not have an easy life. 1987 is not a period of great immigrations, so whoever has emigrated to Israel done it because they had the choice. They choose to live in Israel, they weren't obliged. At the question, does an Italian community exist in Israel? She answered, actually not, or better, one does exist, but is a community of Orthodox religious people that live in Jerusalem. Are that kind of people that want to represent which they think is the Italian Jewish community in Israel, but actually I don't really feel like represented from them. This community is made by people that came to Israel when they were children, so today I don't consider them Italians, but Israelis. Also to Christina I asked about her Judaism, and even her answers say that she feels more Jewish out of Israel. She defines herself as believer and observant about some of the traditions, but she also underlines her way of living Judaism. She also tells me that there is no need of demonstrating to anybody your Judaism. Instead, abroad, maybe in an international place, during the holidays above all, there is this need of research of something that makes you feel Jewish in that precise moment. Then I met another kind of person, Federico, a 24-year-old guy that 5 years ago decided to move to Israel. His mother is a Lebanese Jew and his father an Italian Catholic. He arrived to Israel to study, and for Zionist reasons, and of course because of the love for this country and its culture. His mother grew him up in a quite religious way. He attended Jewish schools, he used to go to synagogue every Saturday, until his bar mitzvah. He considered himself a believer, until he realized that religion wasn't something good for him. His being a Jew reflects on his Zionism, in living in Israel without showing out his own Judaism. To Federico, the Aliyah is a symbol of belonging, a touchable demonstration to his belonging to the Jewish people. He lives his religion in a like way, but still, he is very attached to traditions. He has no family in Israel, so he tries to live these traditions with his adoptive family, made by friends and just a few relatives that live next to him. At the question, do you feel more Jewish or Italian, he answers, I believe that somebody's identities don't go one above the other, but they both fuse together and make it what I am. From the cultural point of view, I feel very Italian. My personal education is Italian. If you ask me where I belong to, I will answer Israel. The fact of being Israeli influences a lot about what you will be in the future. I have been living in an elite place that wasn't for me. Talking about language, he has never spoken Hebrew at home. Today, Hebrew is a part of everyday life. Concerning Italian in the community, Federico talks about a generational distinction. There are people that when arrived to Israel had no one to speak Italian with. Others took part to Italian activities, could maintain their own language. Federico also tells me that most of his Italian is gone, but that is still his mother tongue, and so is a fundamental part of who he is. In Shabbat, I met this family, who is very special to me, Shimon and Annie Kikayon. Annie was born in Uruguay, and she arrived in Israel in 1962. Both parents were from Slovakia. They emigrated because of their discriminations and persecution of that time, so they didn't emigrate for choice, but for need. Shimon was born in Israel. His grandparents were from White Russia, and they moved to Israel because of the Russian persecutions. His father was from Israel and his mother from Germany. They arrived to Israel in 1932, when Israel was still Palestine. I've asked them how religious they were before arriving to Israel. Shimon answers that, from his side, his family could be defined light Orthodox. They observed Shabbat and all the religion holidays, and kosher was kept. From Annie's side, instead, she tells that in South America, things were different. They used to observe all traditions, but she cannot define her family as observant. They also underline the fact that once arrived to Israel, there is no need anymore to show how observant are you. You are one of the many. Being Israeli citizen gives you this sensation of protection and belonging to something that makes you unique. I asked them how did their language change inside the family or inside the community. Well, Shimon obviously tells that he has grown up in Hebrew. Annie tells me that home her parents spoke Spanish and German, and none of them spoke Hebrew when they arrived to Israel. To them, the Aliyah is something very important, something that takes you back to the origins despite all difficulties. It is what you believe. And so you have to feel honored and responsible of such decision. At the end, I met Florencia, a 31 years old Argentinian girl. She arrived to Israel at the age of 15. When I've asked her why she moved, she explained that at the age of 15, a girl cannot decide by her own. She moved because of her family. Her parents were very Zionists, but arrived to Israel because of the discriminations against the Jews that existed in Argentina at that time. In Argentina, she lived in a quite religious family, while in Israel she feels one of the many, without feeling the need of going to synagogue or keeping kosher. She's a part of the Hispanic community. As a Latina, beside the Aliyah, she explains to me that inside the Latin community there is a sensation and need of getting together, to maintain the culture, the language. They look for each other. The same happened in Argentina, but among Jews. But in Israel, it doesn't even compare. Latin culture is much more stronger and inclusive. It is fundamental to maintain the language.